We can intellectualise all day about truth. We can talk about it till the cows come home, right? But unless you start feeling it, until that time occurs, it's all just going to be a pointless, in a way, intellectual exercise. Right? Now, unless you're prepared to actually start acting upon and feeling in your heart the emotions of truth and what they confront, then really the whole point of this discussion is lost. You follow me? The truth is felt emotionally just like error is felt emotionally. So you know when an error leaves you, many of you have already had this experience, when the error leaves you, you are overwhelmed emotionally, aren't you? And it's a terrible emotion, like it feels painful, right? Well, when the truth enters you, it's often an overwhelming emotion, but it's not painful. It's actually pleasurable. You know, when you cry for joy, that kind of a pleasurable emotion. Right? The truth will enter you emotionally and the error will leave you emotionally. If the truth hasn't entered you emotionally, you will not change. Right? So let me say something like this, just a simple illustration. When you feel the truth emotionally, that every action you take towards an animal has an effect on how the animals treat you and how the animals react with you. When you understand that truth emotionally, you will change the way you eat. Right? You will no longer be able to eat meat. I can guarantee you, it'll just be an automatic change in you. Now, until that time, it's really pointless in a way. In a lot of ways, it's pointless to intellectually change. But you can do that to trigger the emotion. So, for instance, if you gave up eating meat right now, knowing that down the track you'll give it up anyway, it'll bring up emotions. You know what bring up emotions of every meal I eat, I don't feel full. Every meal I eat, I don't feel that nice, comfortable, full feeling, you know, that comes when I eat some meat, right? I feel like something's missing, right? And it'll start bringing up the emotions as to why you eat meat, right? Which are all emotional reasons, actually, right? But so you could choose to do that, or you could choose to contemplate God's truth about animals. Contemplate the truth about how we're treating them. Contemplate the truth. Would you actually get right now, if we went outside, would you get a sheep and actually slit its throat and bleed it and then cut it up and cook it right now? Would you do that? So why are you asking another person to do it for you? Why are you doing that? Do you think that's fair? Really? Is it fair? Is it an honest thing to do? Now, if you start to... It
disguises the truth a bit more.
Sorry? Yeah, it disguises the truth a bit more. That's why we do it. But the truth is that once you start feeling that, when you feel that in your heart, you won't be able to eat another piece of meat again. When you feel that. And if you're not feeling it, then you've got to ask the question of what emotion inside of you causes you to not feel that. Does that make sense? Now, I'm not saying that all of you have to give up eating meat, am I? What I'm saying is, once you become in harmony with God's truth at the point of abandonment, you will not be eating meat, I can guarantee you, because you will not be able to. You will not be able to feel love for animals and at the same time kill them, or ask other people to kill them for you.
Yeah, AJ, I actually went through this process last year intellectually,
Yep.
not to eat meat, and I found that it was okay for a while, but then I eventually went back to
me.
A few weekends ago, you said, do it for the love of the animal, and that was it. I was just, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I was away for work and a bit of a function. They had,
That was the meat, like they do.
Well, they did, and I had a little bit, a few prawns actually.
Yeah.
And as I actually looked at each prawn, and I did eat a couple, but I felt really, really guilty about it.
Yeah.
And from then,
You can't do it now. Yeah. The feeling of pain.
Because it's that emotional.
Yeah. See, when you get into a state of truth, what will happen is every time you're out of that state, you'll feel pain. And the truth is, you're actually feeling pain right now when you're out of a state of truth, but you're just not sensitive to it. You just become more sensitive to it as your soul opens. Yeah.
AJ, how does this affect me then? What action can I take? I run a small property with cows which are used for breeding vealers, and it's just the natural state of the cycle of the business that you send the vealers off to the beef market.
And I'm not going to tell you what to do.
But
Because you need to allow yourself. But you need to allow yourself to feel your emotions. See, at the moment you're willing to actually go through this process.
Yes.
For a financial reason.
Yeah, sort of.
Well, it is for a financial reason. Because why else would you be doing it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
See, there's an emotion tied in there.
Well, I've always had a very big emotional contact with my cows anyway.
Yeah.
I bore my head off when I've got to part with the old ones that I've foolishly given names to instead of numbers and all this sort of thing.
No, you haven't been foolish.
No, well, I don't think so. I really have a liaison with my animals, and I can't bear anybody to come and
So how in your heart do you
treat them
justify
roughly. I
the
don't
other?
know. I've just put up with that for years.
So there's something going on emotionally in you.
Yeah, it is.
Can you
It's
see
always
that?
upset me a lot.
So let yourself feel that emotion now, and then you will know what to do. So I'm not I don't want to tell you what to do. What I'm saying is, feel your emotion. You will know what to do. If you really feel your emotion. If you sit down and look at how they made Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? On the net there is a site dedicated to that entire subject, right? And if you looked at it sincerely, you would never be able to eat a chicken again.
What's it called, the site?
I can't remember the site, but you Google it and...
I actually did that when I was living in New Zealand. My daughter brought home a book about how they killed the chickens for their product. And I made myself read this book, and I was so upset. And I remember I had to go and pick the kids up somewhere. I was bawling my eyes out in the car, and I really felt a really deep... But I have gone back.
Well, so you haven't released the...
But I really felt at the time, I was like... I obviously haven't, but yeah.
You haven't. There's two things we need to do when we're accepting truth, remember. We need to release the error. So what's the error? The error is all the grief that I feel about guilt and whatever that I've done all that in the past. There's the error. I also need to accept the truth. What's the truth? Right? And see, a lot of times if your conduct doesn't change, you're not doing one of those two things. You're either not releasing the error, or you're yet to accept the divine truth. One of the two is happening still. Yeah. So what I need to do is ask myself, all right, I went through all of that terrible emotional experience, but now I've gone back to doing it. So there must be more emotion in there for me, or something that I'm not accepting from God that enters me yet, to cause me to redo that. Now, by the way, I brought up this subject of meat not to discuss the subject of meat, but to actually focus you on how the truth will affect your life emotionally. When you realise things emotionally, you will change, and you will change permanently. You won't ever be able to go back. And when you try to go back even, because you get resentful sometimes, or you feel, the feeling of rebellion that pops up occasionally, right? And you try to go back, you'll find it so painful that you can't do it again. Right? That's how it works.